Danny Dimes, he's gone. Indiana Jones is in.
Indiana Jones is here, man. I'm loving it. I still inevitably it's kind of like the Sam Darnold run that he had last year in Minnesota. So I guess that's good for the Colts like staff in general. But you know, let Indiana Jones have this one. It's definitely long overdue.
I mean, it is. I know we were talking about this. I think over the last couple of weeks, but I kind of felt bad for Daniels. I was
Yeah.
I was pretty confident that he was not going to be having a good season, and I guess it's the uh oh man, the one time I forget the name of the Minnesota head coach, but
Kevin O'Connell.
yeah, it's the Kevin O'Connell effect. Sam Darnold goes to Minnesota, and suddenly he's a starting quarterback. Daniel Jones goes there, doesn't even play, and now he's a starting quarterback too. We'll see about JJ McCarthy, but I mean, we'll get to that game. But
Yeah, not looking good for him. I'll tell you that much. Already expected out next week. Oof.
should we start going through some of the important games this week? Last Monday, because when we recorded the last episode, just like right now, it was a Monday night, and Bears Vikings was still happening, and I think Michael and I both assumed because the Bears were up going into the fourth quarter that the game was kind of away. And as a NFC North member, I just love how the Bears are such an incompetent. I was wrong. We both were, but I'm not mad about it. I'm not personally the biggest JJ McCarthy fan just because he played for U of M, but it just makes it even funnier, especially with what happened with the Falcons this week that they blew. I don't remember exactly what the lead was, but it was at least a two possession lead to the Vikings. JJ McCarthy
Yeah.
turned into an MVP candidate for a quarter and put the game away.
Yeah, literally, it was actually kind of insane. I had like I'd been watching like the ESPN like GameCast during the podcast. I just wrote it off. I was like, after we were going over it, I looked at it just one last time, and I was like, yeah, it's cooks. I mean, there's no point in focusing on it anymore. I mean, this is just a done deal, game over
Yeah, I mean,
type of
game
deal.
is over. Not much more to say.
Yeah, and then obviously we were wrong. So it seems like that's been happening quite a bit more than anybody could have guessed recently. And we'll go ahead and move on into that, which is our week 2 games.
Yeah. So starting week 2, we had the Commanders traveling to Green Bay. This is, I think, a very important game because we're gonna try to just talk more about the important games going forward on this podcast. So we can talk more about the important ones and just kind of briefly go over the games that I think everyone kind of knew what was going to happen. But for this game, honestly, and I correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, but I think we both thought this was going.
Yeah, nobody expected it to be as wide as it was. It really felt like it was only Green Bay, and most of the game, I mean, it was. I mean, it was 17-3 till the fourth quarter, and then there was a total of 25 points scored between the two teams.
And at that point, that's just kind of garbage time, especially with Green Bay responding. I especially with what I mean, they dismantled the Lions, and it's still week 2. You know, we don't know exactly for sure what every team looks like, but I mean, the Commanders made it to the NFC Championship. So I was expecting, I did expect the Packers to win. I know we both guessed that, but I wasn't expecting it to be kind of a semi blowout. You actually watched the game.
Yeah, Jordan Love is kind of legit, or so. I mean, I'm saying. I mean, he's loading them up right now. Two back-to-back good games against arguably good teams, probably very good teams, realistically, because it's Washington and Detroit.
Yeah, two playoff teams.
Yeah, but like, I'm pretty sure were they home against the Lions, or were they
Yeah,
in
so
Detroit?
they haven't gone on the road yet.
Yeah, so we'll see what they look like on the road. I think that's going to be a very important look. We'll see what happens when you're in the thick of it. But right now, I mean, they look good.
And then moving on, this isn't a very important game, but um, Rams Titans. I think everyone kind of expected the Rams to win. It was a bit closer for the first 3 quarters or so, but I mean, you got Matthew Stafford, you got a really good receiving core, and you have Sean McVay. I don't think I need to say anything more. Cam Ward's looking good.
Yeah, Cam Ward actually had a really impressive touchdown. He's looking good. It looks like Brian Callahan is just a genuine airhead. On the other side, the Rams offense is looking good. I mean, they're Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams. That trio will make anybody look good. Matthew Stafford's looking good right now. So yeah, I mean that's all we need to say about that one. We'll go ahead and move on to a very important game in the grand scheme of things for the AFC side. The Bengals versus the Jaguars. This was a very, very tight game for most of the game. And then, as everybody knows, Joe Burrow goes down with a toe injury.
3 months. He's out for 3 months.
Yeah, horrible. I don't know if you've ever looked up what turf toe is. It's not fitting for what it actually is. It's like when your big toe bends all the way up to like towards the top of your foot. Not like all the way, but like it extends that. So like the bottom of your foot, right under your big toe, is what's affected most. So it feels like an ankle sprain every time you like take a step.
And I was seeing something about how it can cause pain up your entire body.
Yeah, dude,
Like,
it's
especially with a bad one like Joe Burrow has. So
oof.
hopefully he
Evil.
recovers quickly. That sucks. I don't think the Bengals deserve him.
Yeah. Otherwise, Jacksonville offensively, they're looking kind of fire. I mean, Trevor Lawrence might genuinely be a bust. I think he's just dumb. Two interceptions in the second quarter, but otherwise, I mean, he kind of settled down and they started playing well.
He's gotten
Jake
too
Browning
many
had 3
concussions.
picks. Yeah, yeah. Another thing of note that I mean, if you look at the ESPN highlights on their page, the first touchdown, like a one-handed catch, you'll suddenly see what looks like a flag fly across the screen. That is, in fact, another bright green dildo being thrown onto a sports field.
The dildo epidemic.
Yeah, they could not get. So I don't know how somebody brought that in. The NFL stadiums seem like a bit more tighter on like security than like an NBA stadium, personally at least, that I've seen. So I don't know how they snuck that in. I have a couple of theories, but
I have a theory too, but I don't know
yeah,
if that's you don't
yeah.
want to get
Basically,
demonetized.
it's just the good old prison pocket. But that's that's all we really need to say about this game. Hopefully Jake Browning can do well, but yeah, pretty Bengals win. Next game, at Cleveland.
Yes,
Cleveland,
this
Baltimore.
I feel like this is another. I mean, Cleveland kept it close with their defense, but is anyone surprised that they only put up 17? I'm not.
Nobody's really surprised. The only thing of note, I think, personally, in this game, is the fact that Derrick Henry, 11 carries, 23 yards. That's kind of crazy. Derrick Henry's supposed to be good, and that's not a good showing. Obviously, I don't think he's going to stay like that. It's just kind of crazy. I mean, this is a team he's supposed to run over, and he's just getting ran over. Like you said, the fumble. It's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't have anything more to say. Just the Ravens did put up 21 points in the fourth quarter, so that is scary. And the Lions do play them next week. And of course, we'll get to that later. But the Ravens are a scary team to play.
But yeah, go ahead and move on.
Next game, Bills Jets. This is another game. I think we were kind of fooled maybe by the Jets Steelers because that was close. I hope Justin Fields is okay. I know he got injured, but 3 for 11 with a QBR of 1. That's disgusting.
Yeah, it's not very good.
And I mean, it's not like Josh Allen had a crazy game either. I guess James Cook kind of went off, but still, this is kind of what we expected, and the Jets are not as good as they look.
Yeah, this is a game I watched for pretty much the entire half or first half. It was a very bad looking game. I'll just kind of like put it like this. What I took was everything was just James Cook. James Cook is crazy. The Jets just have a bad stagnant offense. The Bills have a great run defense. The Bills. I mean, if you can get the Bills through attack or through passing, that's the attack you got to do. The only other thing I have to note is that Justin Fields played the entire, pretty much game, outside of like 10 minutes in the fourth quarter. Tyrod Taylor ended with more passing yards.
Yeah,
That is horrible.
that's terrible.
And he had 56 passing yards as the leader. You have that's a lack of offense in general. You gotta fix that. But I mean that's the issue with Justin Fields is he just can't throw the football well.
I saw a stat that was like Justin Fields was the sixth highest passer in the entire NFC East this week, or AFC East, my bad. Um, but yeah, I mean, you're a starting quarterback and you get
You're not
less
even
yards than
top
your
four.
backup, and I mean, who's the backup for the Bills? Uh, or Mitchell Trubisky? Yeah, and he had
Oh, for the Bills.
less passing yards than Mitchell Trubisky. Like, you can't make this up.
Yeah, you can't make that's just very not good. The Jets are gonna continue to be pretty bad. I think what happened against the Steelers was just blind fucking beginner's luck.
Uh, for the next game, we have the Patriots versus the Dolphins. I mean, Michael,
Special teams.
I don't know if you've been watching the clips from the Mike McDaniel. You can tell he's just given up. He's about to be sent packing because he's this team is kind of hopeless. And I the Patriots haven't looked great for their first two games. I know they're 1-1, so they're not like a bad team, but at home against a divisional opponent, getting beaten by second year Drake May.
Yeah, a lot of this game's scores were from special teams, which is kind of funny. Not all of them, but there was a good bit. Two back-to-back, a punt return from Malik Washington and Antonio Gibson kickoff return that happened back-to-back, and I think something else had happened. Like they just were getting a lot of like punt and kickoff yards. The special teams kind of stepped up right there in the end. I had Tyreek Hill in fantasy. He pretty much was like a nothing
I learned
wide
my
receiver.
lesson taking Tyreek Hill last year because I don't know. I get like superstitious and I hold grudges against teams in fantasy. And last year with the Dolphins just falling apart, I was like, I'm never drafting a Dolphin. Same thing with the Bears. Like I don't draft some certain teams until they prove that they can.
That's entirely fair. I actually benched him this week, um, which would have been fine if AJ Brown didn't also have a shitter, but we'll go over that soon. It just looks like Mike McDaniels needs to either figure it out or he's going to get fired. He can only really hold a locker room if they're doing good. It doesn't seem like they're very, unified in that way. But that's all really for that one. Not much else. It's just a boring divisional game. The next game, Steve, is the San Francisco New Orleans.
Battle the backups. I guess Spencer Rattler is not a backup, but he was last year.
Yeah, Mac Jones. I mean, he's about as good as a backup is, but Mac Jones is pretty mid. I know he had 3 touchdowns, but I mean, you're in Kyle Shanahan's offense. It's just a plug and play. It doesn't matter who's in there.
I mean,
It's just
literally,
white boy that can throw at least 20 yards. You're good. Spencer, I think New Orleans had kind of like a consistent like water erosion type of play throughout the game, which is why you see they won by 5. But realistically, if 49ers didn't keep shooting themselves in the foot throughout the game, it would have been a huge blowout.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints are definitely looking better than I think both of us anticipated, but and this is kind of get used to hearing this every week for at least the first 3 or 4 weeks, but it's only week 2. So, the Saints had 2 crazy good games last year and then they fell apart. But yeah, I don't have much to add. Just, I mean, we saw Mac Jones in Jacksonville last year. Kyle Shanahan is a good coach. And we just, we have one team that's 2-0 and one that's 0-2. So I think they're kind of on separate trajectories for this season, but I don't know yet.
Yeah, it might just be a product of the teams that they play. Showing why they're 0-2, but we'll see.
But for the next game, we have what might have been and might be the game of the week, which surprisingly is the New York Giants at Dallas. Russell Wilson, 450 yards and 3 touchdowns. I don't think I've seen a New York Giants quarterback throw for more than like 250 yards since I started watching.
Yeah, dude, that's probably like a top 5 like passing yards for New York.
Since Eli Manning left, at least for sure.
He was cooking. This was actually the game I swapped to from the Bills and Jets game. So I swapped probably about like at the 2-minute warning. From how the game went, it was exactly how most people thought. Like defensively, it would have gone, but offensively, all Giants. I mean, literally all Giants. The Cowboys had like a little like resurgence. I think they scored a touchdown late in the second half or the first half, sorry. But it was really just all Giants. The one reason why it wasn't more, they had 8 penalties for 90 yards in one half. Pretty bad. One thing to note as well in that first half, they had an offensive lineman named James Hudson. Horrible. He got 4 different penalties in the first possession, got benched, and then started trying to fight like the coaches. Like he's just like literally like there's literally a clip of him just straight up like swinging to like smack the defender in the head, and then he misses, and then like the guy still gets past him. He's trash.
I saw that clip. I thought that was hilarious. I mean, obviously you can't do that, but I think that's really funny. I also saw that Jake Moody, or no, Brandon Aubrey, my bad, might be the best kicker. Might be the best. Yeah, very complete opposites in terms of kickers in the league, but
yeah.
He might be the best kicker in the league. I mean,
Definitely he's up there.
Long field goals. He has
64?
a cannon of a leg. Yeah, 64-yard field goal that was good from 70.
Yeah, it was. He went 51, 44, 64, 46. In the this game was pretty mid, pretty much most of the game. Once it gets to the second half, Javonte Williams becomes a legit running back. He's doing like he had a 30-yard rush. I mean, he's breaking off for like 15-yard rushes a bunch, especially late in the game when it was mattering. Like they'd be running him for like 5 yards so they could set up a pass and he'd take it for 25. I mean, he's going crazy. He's a legit running back. If you guys go to if for some reason Javonte Williams is not picked up in your fantasy league, pick him up right now. That guy he's good. But the defense in Dallas, horrible, literally disgusting.
But I was just about to bring up, like, I remember, what was it, 2 years ago or last season, Jerry Jones was like, oh, we're going all in. And then he trades away his best defensive player, and Russell Wilson is a statue. If they had had Michael Parsons, I don't think this would have been a game.
Yeah, every time something bad happened, it was Russell Wilson had to do something that wasn't just stand still and then chuck it deep. And you can see that in the interception from overtime. He was tired, he got flushed out, and then he just chucked it. I think somebody was in his face as well. This was just a good old-fashioned fourth quarter shootout. It was just, I'd say overtime was just an endurance test. Dallas won that. Great game. This was an amazing game. We've had 2 back-to-back crazy games. Not back-to-back, but like we've had crazy games each week with the Bills game last week. This is what I would classify as like a game of the week, and this would absolutely get, it's back to back 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I think for the next game, this is the game that I watched for the 1:00 slot, which is the Bears versus the Lions. And for any Bears fans who might be watching, I'm very happy about this. Ben Johnson comes back to Detroit and gets a 50 burger put on him. And I don't know if you saw any clips from the game, Michael, but the score, even with it being 21-52, the score makes it look closer than it. The only points that the Bears got in the second half was off of, and I don't like to be the refs like bailed them out because they didn't. It didn't make a difference, but off of a pretty soft roughing the passer call on Brian Branch on what would have been an interception on Caleb Williams, the second of the day. In that case, it would have been 14-52, which is what we put on the Titans last year. We got the first overall pick.
Yeah, I don't think the Bears are going to be good. They have flashes on offense.
It's the opening drive. It's the scripted drive, and I just think I said this with the season predictions, but I don't think Ben Johnson knows how to coach an entire locker room. You know, like when you're the OC, you have your Dan Campbell who motivates them. He gets his guys ready, and then Ben Johnson just is drawing up plays, only has to worry about the offense. But here, he's in charge of the whole team. Dennis Allen, I thought he was supposed to be a good defensive coordinator. They let up 500 yards. Good offensive coordinators don't let up 500 yards. They don't let up. I mean, I just going through the stats. Jared Goff, 334 yards, 5 touchdowns, and then 1 rushing touchdown from both Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Nearly a perfect passer rating from Jared Goff. 3 touchdowns from Amon-Ra St. Brown. Our rookie wide receiver in his second game had what could have been the play of the game on a 30-yard one-handed catch. And I don't know if you saw that clip, Michael, but I would highly recommend it. Like, just overall, yeah, a bounce back game. Aiden Hutchinson got his first sack of the season. I know one of our DE2, Marcus Davenport, got injured. I'm lucky. We're lucky we even got 1.5 games out of him. So overall, very happy about this game. I know I was complaining last week, and I know this isn't, for any non-Lions fan, this isn't a very big deal, but I know I was ranting last week about how kind of annoyed I was with all the doomers, and I think this game kind of shows why, like, don't underestimate Dan Campbell and also Ben Johnson. He didn't make our offense good.
Yeah. At the very least, Ben Johnson is not a team leader just yet. He definitely cannot, like, 'cause I mean, everybody always talks about how good, Chicago's defense is supposed to be, and then they just never amount to anything. I mean, they didn't even get a sack this game, but they're supposed to be a good defense. It's just, I just don't believe it. So we got to see him improve in that area. As I like to say, Bears will bear.
Yeah, and this is the test. Can Ben Johnson keep the same with Mike McDaniel? Can he keep a group of players motivated when they're losing? Bad. But yeah. So the next game, I think Michael correctly predicted this one, and I'll let him talk let him talk himself up in a second. But I got this one wrong. I thought the Steelers were gonna win, but the Steelers are not looking so hot. What do you think, Michael?
This is kind of what everybody thought was going to happen with the Steelers, or at least this is what I thought was going to happen with the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers was kind of going to show, hey man, I'm like 40, and that's exactly what you're going to get. I mean, I think he barely had over 50% completion, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. That's not very good. It almost worked out for a second, because across the field, you're playing Sam Darnold, who had 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions at the end of the night. But the Seattle offense was able to get the dumbest special team score, dumbest for the Steelers. Special team score that you've ever seen. Bounces through some dude's hands, he touches it, and they just land on it for a touchdown. The offense is just so slow. Jalen Warren is kind of pretty good in open space, I guess, but it's just getting him there. So that's kind of difficult. The Seattle young defense did what they're gonna do, and that's kind of where we're at with this game. Was especially it being away, the Steelers just are stagnant and they just love to shoot themselves in the foot. And that's what happened.
Yeah, and I see is like, I don't want to get ahead of myself because I still think Mike Tomlin will somehow manage to scrape to 500, but just what are they doing, man? Like, at some point you gotta commit to rebuilding, because you can't, with the pieces you have, you can't just try to become a contender when you don't make splashy moves, don't have good draft capital.
They got to invest in a quarterback because the 40-year-old scraps are not going to cut it anymore. The last quarterback they invested in was Kenny Pickett. So whoever is in charge of that, you probably should not have in there. Well, I mean, it is week 2. We'll see how it progresses, but the defense either has to step up a ton, or chances are it's probably just another 500 season for them. Moving on to another game, pal over here got wrong. The Indianapolis Colts versus the Denver Broncos. This was a good game. Unfortunately, I didn't watch it, but I was watching it for a while, and it was kind of, it looked like, Denver was doing what Denver does, especially, coming to the end of the game. And then you have this just resurgence of Daniel Jones, Indiana Jones, just coming back offensively, dotting them up. Rookie, I think it's Tyler Warren, ended up actually doing something, ended up most receiving yards for the whole year, or for the whole game, for the Colts, and Danny Dimes 316 yards. Maybe these guys are legit.
Yeah. I mean, again, I got this wrong. I know Pat Surtain was out for only a little bit, so I can't make the excuse of, their best defensive player is out. Indianapolis won this game fair and square. And I don't know if I completely believe in the Colts yet, but I expected them to win one game this season. So they already are doubling my expectations. Beat a playoff team from last year, a very good defense. I mean, the Broncos dominated. They played last week. I don't remember that was the Titans.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I mean, to see if the Broncos can get a bounce back game. But, any 1-point game is always going to be just an incredible watch. But yeah, I don't have anything else really to add to that. This was also a very good game. And then for the next one, we have Panthers versus the Cardinals.
That's not very interesting. It was a mid game.
It was a mid game. I will just say Carolina not giving up was impressive. If only Bryce Young hadn't had 2 turnovers, and they would have won the game. I don't want to give up on the Panthers and Bryce Young yet, but you got to start winning some of these games.
Yeah, I have a very close friend who's a Panthers fan, and I mean he's a big Bryce Young supporter, and he's sitting there trying to tell me I know Bryce Young wasn't doing well in the beginning, but did pretty well at the end. To his credit, I mean he did end 328 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. But if it wasn't somebody like the Cardinals, if this was a game that mattered, and you're basically down 27-9. You can't just hope and pray for a late resurgence where you rip off 13 points and they get nothing. When these things matter, and when you dig yourself into a hole, you're just not going to be able to dig yourself back out. Just so happened that they're playing a team who's in a similar position to them, and I mean they clawed back, but ultimately they could not claw back enough, and in the future it's probably going to look a lot worse.
Yeah, I will say, to the credit of Bryce Young, and I know a lot of this came during what was probably garbage time, Bryce Young did throw for 330 yards and 3 touchdowns. Petero McMillan looks like a very good receiver.
Yeah, he does look very good.
Xavier Legette, on the other hand, does not. He has 1 reception for -2 yards. But, I mean, that's all I have to add. I needed to let everyone know that.
Yeah, he's not looking very good. But moving on to this last Sunday at 4 p.m. slate.
Philadelphia Eagles slugfest.
I watched this game, unfortunately. This was a very boring game. Nobody really did much. Jalen Hurts wasn't even over 200 yards. Saquon Barkley was pretty good. 22 carries, 88 yards. Patrick Mahomes ends as their leading rusher and passer. He's literally doing everything. That's kind
Travis
of where I
Kelce
think
interception. I mean,
oh yeah, the bobble. I mean, it was to Travis Kelce, and it bounced out of his hands right into a Philly player, and that's how they got their pick. I mean, this was just a very big defensive game. It wasn't like a sack defensive game. It was kind of like my defense is locking up your defense, vice versa.
Yeah, it's
A
just
lot of it depended.
yeah, slugfest. Just
Yeah,
you have to earn every yard.
yeah, literally every yard. It was either the scoring plays came from like good field position most of the time, and then the other times it was like pure luck, almost like a
Yeah.
miracle play.
What I'm just kind of confused by with the Chiefs is we see Patrick Mahomes in the fourth quarter always make a crazy play. Well, I think it was a uh like a 40-yard bomb to Taquan Thornton,
Tyquan Thornton.
Tyquan Thornton, and it's like why? Where was that the rest of the game? I mean, they blew up the Philly defense, and we know It's like I know people are saying Patrick Mahomes is falling off, and obviously he's not as good as he was. But I think the biggest thing is he just doesn't have the people around him that he's doing. No complaints from me. Like I do not like the Chiefs, but as you said earlier, he's kind of carrying this team on his back, and can't you can't do that on a win game.
I think they let D Hop go last year, and now I mean they just don't have a good they don't have a wide receiver number one. All of them are interchangeable wide receiver number. They have to figure something out. Hollywood Brown looked a little promising, but he ended up not amounting to a ton today or yesterday. So yeah, they just got to get that figured out, and they might be able to return to victory. The Eagles, though, the Eagles need to start passing it to AJ Brown before I start to get upset.
I'm gonna lose my mind because I drafted him as my first pick. I wasn't the first pick, but like I was like, oh, AJ Brown, like he's a good receiver on the team that just won the Super Bowl. What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, I will say, chances are I'm not gonna, I won't trade or drop him or anything. I'm just gonna complain about him and then hope that he settles in. That's what good players do. Usually he'll wake up at some point, and I'm not gonna bench him by any means. Once he wakes up, I mean, he's literally so good. But we'll see. I mean, he always ends with 1,000 yards, so we'll see.
Yeah, this is a good point. And then Michael, what game was on Sunday night?
It was the Atlanta Falcons and the Minnesota Vikings. Prime time. I think most people probably hated this game. This was a very boring game.
It was very boring.
Not for me. I was very into this game. This game was great. How
many sacks did you guys get on JJ McCarthy?
We got 6, I believe. 6 sacks, which is huge for us. We had a 50% pressure rate, which was amazing. We actually ended up also getting a strip sack and recovery on one of those sacks, so that was huge. And we also got 2 interceptions. One of them was kind of just a garbage time throw by a young quarterback who doesn't really understand, how a game like this kind of feels. So he's just trying to force things. Ended up overthrowing Justin Jefferson in triple coverage by like 5 yards. Xavier Watts makes a nice diving interception. It's our rookie 3rd-round pick getting his first interception. That was kind of the theme of the night. Was really like our rookies doing their thing. Billy Bowman, our 5th-round pick, I believe, also got a pretty insane interception, like on top of somebody, and that was good. That was pretty early on, so that was kind of
the I think the story from this game is just the Atlanta defense destroyed Minnesota.
Yeah, it was just pressure, so much pressure. Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. both recorded at least a half sack. So that was their first sack. Jalen Walker got his own sack. James Pierce got a half sack. So Jalen Walker got his first full sack. James Pierce got something in the line. Huge game for a lot of them. I think Zach Harrison also got his first sack. He has 1.5. Very good turnout. Bijan Robinson putting up 143 yards. He had more yards rushing only than the entire Vikings team did, pretty much the entire game up until basically until garbage time when they were just throwing shit and we weren't really guarding that hard. Yeah, and that includes he he had like 25 yards receiving. We weren't really doing much in the pass game because the running game was working so well. And the pass game just wasn't. You can note Drake London's first fumble in 2 years. So yeah, we just need to fix our red zone. It was very horrible. Thank God we just signed a new kicker. If that was Younghoe Koo, we probably would have lost this game. Parker Romo 5 for 5
Yeah, I was
in
very impressed.
field goals. That's 100%. For just this is the first time he's been on. I think we signed him on Wednesday, and he comes in, kicks 5 for 5, another extra point. I mean, 16 points. He's crazy. I mean, he had more points than I think both anybody else on either team had combined. So I'm very happy with everything but the passing game. So that's pretty much like a 4 out of 5. You know, boxes are checked. Beautiful stuff. Special teams is also pretty good. We were not allowing them to get very far. 22-yard average on kickoffs, and that's 6 kickoffs. And then also 2-yard average on punts, and that was 3 punts. Very good. Very good showing. It was pretty boring, but if you're a fan of your team, this was a very enjoyable game.
Oh yeah, and Minnesota we know they have a very good defense. So the fact you put 22 points on them, thoroughly dismantle them, like.
Oh yeah, it's a great game. And AJ Terrell was out the entire second half. So that's Justin Jefferson locked. I know he has 3 for 81, but he had like one 50-yard catch right like the play after AJ Terrell went down. And then outside of that was it. 3 for 81. That's not very good. Our defense actually was playing phenomenally well. And hopefully AJ Terrell, it was a hamstring injury, so hopefully the severity is not that big, but we'll see. All right, and that is the end of our recap. We're gonna move on to the school time. It's scheme time.
Get your notebooks out.
Yeah, start lining up, sitting down. So this week we're not gonna do like schemes necessarily, but we're gonna go over some more fundamentals. I'm gonna personally be going over the defensive line gaps, as well as a little extra stuff dealing with our defensive backs. And Ben, what are you going over?
I'm gonna just kind of break down a route tree. I think we're gonna try to put in just kind of a visual for you guys so you can help see. I know you've seen all of this stuff we're gonna be talking about today. It's truly the most fundamental, but I'm just gonna be going through the different type of routes that wide receivers, or just anyone who's gonna receive the ball might be running in an offense.
Purely just basic stuff. If you're just an average fan like us, this stuff is new to you. If you played football even a little, we're literally talking about middle school stuff probably. But for us, this stuff isn't obvious. So
we're not very smart sometimes. So
yeah. But I'll go ahead and begin. Like I said, we're talking about stuff like gaps and techs. You have your traditional offensive line set up. You have the center, 2 guards, and then a tackle outside of those guards. And then you'll have a tight end if he's lining up on the line on either side there. The gaps specifically, very important. You've heard it a lot. A gap, C gap, B gap, D gap, whatever. Those are referring to the spaces between the offensive lines. So A gap refers to the space on either side of the center, and then it'll start going out from there. If you're between the spaces between the guards and the tackles, it can be the B gap. Spaces between the tackles and the tight ends, that's the C gap. On the other side, that would be the D gap, which would just be the other side of the tight end. Or if for some reason you have another tight end set up there, it'd be between there. And you'd also increase the alphabet as long as there's more people.
Michael, I have a quick question. Doesn't this kind of tie into what you were talking about last week?
Oh yeah, it absolutely does. It also ties into what you were talking about last week with your 4-3. These gaps are referred to constantly. It's literally how you're setting up your defense. We'll go over it, but it'll tell you how you're setting up, how you're rushing the quarterback, if you're stopping the run, if you're trying to defend the pass, if you're just trying to stall for time, whatever. This stuff is very, very important. Thank you for the question. Also, so moving on to the text, this one's a bit more complicated than just simple gaps. Um, these texts, there are three things that you need to know. They're all going to be numbers, and one set of number and a letter. For outside shoulders, which is going to be the shoulder, I believe it's going to be like the shoulder outside comparative to the center. Um, so and those are going to be referred to with odd numbers. All right, if you're dead on the offensive lineman, it's called head up. Those are gonna be even. And then if you're on the inside shoulder relative to the center, those are gonna be it's gonna be the head up number. So it's gonna be even, and it's gonna have a lowercase I next to it, the letter I. So something that it's gonna look like this. If you have the center, you're gonna have 0 on the head on. So if you could imagine a C with a 0 right above it, that's going to be your 0 tech. On both sides of that 0, you're going to have a 1. Those are going to be your 1 techs. If you're lining up there even slightly over on either side of the center, your outside shoulder is just going to be 1, and your inside shoulder is just going to be 0. But you're not going to put like a 0 I, because it's like the middle. And you're going to keep going. You move a guy over like that. Now you're at 2 I, not 1 I. It'll always be the I from the number it's about to become. So you're going to go 2 I, which is now your inside shoulder. You're pretty much lined up right on the guard when you're referring to 2 and 3 I. Or just 3, sorry, there's no 3 I. So 2 I is inside. 2 is head on. You're looking straight at the guard. 3 is referring not to, there's not really like a inside shoulder when you're rushing a guard. I think usually those are left for bubbles or gaps, which are basically the same thing. It's just like a weakness where you don't have somebody. It's going to move on to head on from the tackle. So instead of 3 I, you're going to get 4 I for inside shoulder on the tackle. 4 is going to be head on. 5 is going to be inside, or sorry, it's going to be outside. You don't have a 4 I either. It just goes to 5. That's basically the text. So when they're referring to like, a certain front, which I also kind of glanced over last week, and you're gonna go like a gap, 2 I tech. You know how you're coming into it.
Yeah, sometimes you hear the commentators are like, "Oh, they're running like an A gap front on this defensive player."
Yes, basically. The other thing is kind of it applies to fronts, which are different ways that you set up your front 7. Like I said earlier or last week, over and under fronts are very popular. The defensive tackle or the nose tackle, which is going to be the guy that's around the center, he's going to be moved over to where the tight end is. So whatever side has a D gap, you're going to move him over there, and you're probably going to place him 1 tech, maybe 2 I tech, 0 tech, that kind of thing. That's where he's going to be. You're either going to be head on with the center, you're going to be between center and guard. He's basically like an A gap rusher only. And that's going to be on over front. They're going to be on strong side, and then the same kind of tech lineups on under fronts, except they're going to be moved to the weak side where the tight end is not. There's other fronts that like really this matters. The 2 I front is very common. This where you have a nose tackle and a defensive tackle, and they're kind of moved both to the 2 I's on either side. So you're basically just rushing inside shoulder on the guard, and then you're just going to be trying to split between the guard and the center, and you're going to be doing 2 guys there. So you're really attacking the inside. Very great for run defense. I don't think it's very good for like pass, just because the quarterback can easily run out because he'll see it coming. These kind of fronts and techs are often paired with covers. I went over cover 2, 4, and 3 last week. Specifically, what you'd find is like a cover 2, and then you'd have another word, right? Those words it's usually 3. Obviously, these are fundamental, so I don't know all the specifics. The main ones are cloud. So you might have heard of cover 3 cloud. The other one is sky. You might have heard like cover 2 sky. Yeah, basically. I mean, you see them all in all that. Yeah. Another one is called backer. So maybe like a cover two backer. What a sky refers to is a safety is coming down from the sky, not to blitz, but to set as
Like
a
the safeties are dropping to, it's like just part of the play.
yeah, exactly. So they're coming down, and their assignment is to cover the flat in what's called the force. The force is going to be the person who tries to push an outside run back inside. So they're basically forcing them back into the strength of the defense. And that assignment is basically where all of these different additives matter. So, like I said, for Sky, the force is going to be the safety. They're also going to cover those flat routes. The cornerbacks are going to run deep. The linebackers are going to stay in the box, try to get the hook and the curl. Um, for Cloud, it's basically the exact same, except you're not having the cornerbacks deep. You're just having the cornerbacks are going to come down for the force and the flat, and then the safety is going to stay up. Those are like what you'd imagine to be safeties. So if you ever see like cover two, it's probably going to be cover two Cloud because the safeties are not coming down. The last one is backer, where the linebacker is going to get the force. So that's going to make the cornerbacks kind of push out deep. You might see like cover four backer, stuff like that. And those strong safeties are going to come in for the hooks and curls. And that's pretty much like the base. Whenever people are telling you how to line up, they're going to give you probably a gap or a tech, or they're going to tell you if it's a sky, cloud, whatever. There's a couple other ones that I guess are more technical from what I was reading, but those are based off of like small, minute details that maybe we can get into later. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the front.
There is going to be a test on this next week, just so everyone knows. So you have to make sure you know this stuff.
Yeah, write down your notes, learn how to study.
Yeah, that. Thank you for that, Michael. That's a very informative, and I feel like we're trying to really build a foundation of somewhere to start when we get into this, and hopefully by the end of the season, we're going through more complicated with us, and you know. But for me, just for the route tree, um, I'm just going to be going through kind of the 9 standard routes that receivers are running. The first is the flat route, and that's, this is a very basic, so it's very quick. It's when you see, usually a slot receiver lining up, play is snapped, they run up very quickly, and then it quickly break out towards the sideline. And this is usually slot receiver at the tight end, and this gives the quarterback, a quick, check down throw of like, okay, I'm not seeing anything downfield. I got a guy right near me, and maybe he can get around the edge of the defense and pick up a good few yards. The second is pretty similar to the flat, and you'll see that a lot of these plays kind of come in twos. This one is the slant. It is the same thing, tight end, slot receiver. Instead of going out towards the sideline, they go straight towards the middle of the field. This allows the quarterback to kind of, if the sides are covered, that they can just throw in the middle. And a lot of the time with the slant play, the receiver is going to get immediately tackled by the linebacker that's right there. We know throwing through the middle of the field is risky, so slants are usually pretty chunky plays. You're not going to get a lot on a slant. One that comes to mind, and this obviously shows my Lions bias, but Amon-Ra St. Brown is probably one of the best slot receivers. And for those who don't know what a slot receiver is, that's the one when you have 3 receivers on the field. You have one on the right, one on the left, and then you have another one on the left between the one that's far out and the offensive. That's the slot. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is very good at the middle of the field catches. He's always good at getting open. And, any of these plays can become very, you can blow up a defense with it. But these are just, the very safe, like, we're trying to play conservative. We want to just get a rhythm going. We're going to throw slants. We're going to slow some, check down flats just to kind of see what we can get. And maybe we can get 3 or 4 yards on these, and it's 3rd and 2 by the end of those 2 plays. Now we're going to get into some more, medium routes. Again, pair of 2. First is the comeback route. So this is when the receiver tries to go straight in, usually about 8 to 10 yards, and then kind of turn on a dime and start angling back in at like a 45-degree angle towards the sideline. This allows the quarterback to throw a back shoulder catch to the receiver, and it allows the receiver to also create a lot of separation. And this is a very hard pass to defend, but this also requires a lot of accuracy from the quarterback. So it is risky in a lot of situations. I think on a lot of passes like this, it's easy for receivers to get picked off because they can't see the cornerback behind them. And if the cornerback can see that the ball's coming my way, they can make a play on the ball. So if it's done by good players, a good receiver, a good quarterback, very hard to defend against. But if you're playing against better defense or you don't have the communication you need, it could result in backbreaking for your offense. The next is the curl. It's kind of the same thing, except you go up, angle 45 degrees going towards the middle of the field. This kind of jukes the defender into thinking it's a vertical route. And this is the same thing with trying to do the back shoulder catch. It is hard to sell. It's kind of have to throw the ball as the quarterback while they're moving. So it's not like some of these where on a flat route, the running back runs out, just kind of stands there, and the quarterback sees him, throws the quick check down. Maybe they get a yard or two. For this to work, like I was saying on the comeback route, you gotta have the communication. You gotta know the ball's coming for you. You might mess it up and change the momentum of the game. So next, we're getting into it's still medium passes, but they're starting to get a bit longer. This could be about 10 to 15 yards. So an explosive play, but not something that you're out on your own 30-yard line. Not something that necessarily gets you a 70-yard touchdown. But this is when the receiver runs 10 to 15 yards out and then cuts at a 90-degree angle across the field. Pretty simple, kind of just like a larger flat route. It goes towards the sideline. And then there's the in/dig route. That's where you go in 10 to 15 yards, 90-degree angle towards the field. Kind of similar to the curl and the comeback route, except for this, you're not trying to turn on a dime. This kind of has you running in a motion just parallel to the line of scrimmage. And so this gives the quarterback time to kind of read the play, throw the ball to you. And even though you're still moving, you can see it's coming. You don't have to have quite as much communication, but you do need to have a very accurate quarterback to pull these off. And then finally, for the last pair, we still have one more after this pair, are corner and post routes. These are the deeper routes. Corner route, where the receiver goes out 15 yards, 45-degree angle, still going up towards the end zone you want to get the ball into, running out towards the sideline. This is a very good route for creating space and pulls the safety out of the middle of the field. Maybe open up another post route, which is the same thing, but the opposite, going towards the middle of the field on the other side. So it can kind of be used to either get safeties moved, or if you have a very fast receiver, it can be used to get an explosive play, get a 50-yard touchdown for that. And then last but not least is the fade/go route. This is just a very simple. The receiver runs vertically as far as and as fast as they can. If the quarterback has the arm, they can just throw a bomb to you. You're open. It's a touchdown. Yeah.
Coach, I have a question. All right. Do you think that most receivers have the ability to do each one of these routes, or do you think it's you can only really master 2 or 3?
I think it's certainly possible to master all of them, but I think that kind of is only for the receivers who are the all-purpose ones, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Yeah. And even for someone like Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's certainly capable of all of these, but that's why the Lions have a Jameson Williams. He's very good at those big plays. He's very fast. Amon-Ra St. Brown is better at those, small to medium plays, and he can still get a large play out of that. But I think it really just depends on the receiver, and a good team will have their core of 2 or 3 receivers that are experts at all 9 of them between the 2 to 3 of those.
Okay. Well, thanks, Coach. Um, yeah, that's a pretty good school session. Ding, ding, ding. There's the bell. Time to go. I go back out to the lunch table.
Maybe we're going back out. We're gonna talk some more ball. Give our predictions. What we think's gonna happen.
Yeah, for this next week, this week yet to happen. Yeah, let's go ahead and begin.
Already give me week 3.
Yeah, I'm excited. Um, I hope I hope we can keep up a good what's the word I'm thinking of? Like we can keep up a good set of weeks.
Yeah, keep proving that we have our ball knowledge and accurately predict a week with at least a large majority of these predicted correctly.
Yeah, I think surprisingly for two people who aren't really experts, we're really kind of grasping at least the pick'ems. These I don't think you and we're definitely positive in our pick rate. I don't know. I can't remember how many you missed last week. I think I missed
Let me look at what I have. I think I'm 22-8. So
oh wow.
yeah, and if I can get the 2 tonight correctly, hopefully be 24-8. But to kick off week 3, I have a Thursday night game between the Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on this one, Michael.
No,
Bills are going to
definitely
win
not.
this by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, this is probably going to be a moment to a Tagovailoa is going to have to, really feel something. We'll see what happens, but it's probably going to be all Bills. This next one, honestly, this one is starting to feel no brainer. Indiana Jones, Danny Dimes. He's kind of slinging it, and you're going up against arguably bottom 3 team in the league. I'm gonna go Danny Dimes here. Not much to argue.
Indiana Jones is going to carve up the Titans defense. I think this could still be a close game. It is a divisional game, Titans home game, but I do think the Titans don't really stand a chance if the Colts, they're not giving us a reason if the Colts play at the same clip they're at. It could be a good game, it could be a close game, but I still think the Colts win by a comfortable margin. I think they'll be in.
Oh yeah.
For the next game, if you had asked me this last week, I would have said the Steelers would have beaten Patriots, but from what I'm seeing from the Steelers, I think the Patriots will win this one. I think this could be a close game, but from what we saw this week, and I know the Patriots are playing the Dolphins. Take this with a grain of salt. But I do think that the Patriots playing a lot better, playing more complementary football, especially if the Steelers defense does not lock in. I think that this could have blowout potential. Not going to go out on a limb and say that will happen, but I think it is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Looking back on who the Patriots really have faced, it's the Dolphins last week and then the Raiders the week before. Those 2 teams, when you tell me defense, those are not nearly in the top half of teams that I'm thinking of. From what we saw against the Jets for Pittsburgh, I mean they're still pretty good, and I mean they scored 17 points against Seattle. I know they got blown out 31-17, but it's not like you're playing Seattle again. This is going to be a lot worse defense. I am going to go Pittsburgh here. The Patriots are going to fall back to reality. But otherwise,
we'll see who knows ball on this one.
It's going to be close. I do think what you said about Drake May and everything in that Patriots offense it's tough to look at for sure. But I think the experience here is going to lean in Tomlin's favor, even though Vrabel is very experienced. I mean, that's why he's making it close. Moving on. Jaguars versus Texans, another AFC South divisional game. from what I can tell from what's going on right now with the Texans, it's not like they're doing anything crazy. I also have the game on to my left here. It's really another sort of defensive showing. It's just not a lot of offense on or really possession at all on the Texans side. I mean, this is going into the third quarter, or this is the third quarter, probably about 5 minutes left. It's stagnant offense. What are you gonna expect? And the Jaguars have been playing like really good. So I just it being in Jacksonville, those fans, sitting at 1-1, this would be a great game to win. I think they're gonna take this one home because I mean I don't think the Texans can really compete right now with no offense.
Yeah, honestly, I do think, again, if you had asked me last week, I think the Texans get this one, but I really think that they just failed to address the whole lineup in the offseason. I do think the Jaguars are a better team than last year, and I think the Texans have a good chance of starting 0-3 and being, tied with the Titans for last in the division.
Yeah, not very fun.
No. And then going on to the next game of the week, have Broncos and Chargers. I do think this will be a very good game. A defensive slugfest, I would think, but when I think of this, it kind of comes down to who I trust more as quarterback. I still stand by. I do think Bo Nix is at least a good quarterback, but Justin Herbert is definitely the more seasoned, the better coached quarterback and team. I do think the Chargers will eke out a win.
Yeah, I'm in very similar thinking. This is a team that does play Denver twice a year. So when you're talking about that Denver defense, and those you know smothering type of plays that they have going on there, this is a team that actually knows it. So that's going to have a less of an effect. They're actually rating them how they probably should be rated when you're going in for preparation. This is also in LA, so this just seems kind of like a Chargers year, to be honest with you. So if they win against uh, the Raiders tonight, which my prediction was that they have or they will, after this week, this is gonna be a 3-0 start, and it's the division is probably just sitting in their hands, and already, I mean, they're gonna.
They're gonna start 2-0, and the Chiefs might be 0-2. I mean, that's where you want to be.
Yeah, basically, yeah, that's exactly where you want to be. Um, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for that game. It's just we'll see what quarterback does better again. Um, this next one, we're gonna go through them AFC versus NFC ones. It's gonna start with Minnesota Vikings versus Cincinnati Bengals. This one is not gonna be a good game. You have Jake Browning on the Bengals side. I don't. I think it's Carson Wentz. JJ McCarthy got ruled out for Week 3 already.
Oh my
Um,
god, I forgot about that. Oh my
yeah.
god.
Our Atlanta defense really gave him a fucking beating, or they really gave him a beating. So I don't know who to go here. I was not very reassured watching them play. If the Bengals can get any pressure on a very injured defense for the Vikings, it's an easy win. And Jake Browning has had these experiences. Unfortunately, with Joe Burrow going down so much, I'm gonna go Bengals here.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do think, despite because I remember earlier seeing Jake McCarthy was out. I just kind of forgot until you reminded me. That changed my prediction, I think, because not that necessarily either of these teams right now with the state they're in are particularly good, but I watched the Broncos Chiefs game with Carson Wentz last year, week 18. I mean, Carson Wentz is not a good. He is he's very stinky, and I know Kevin O'Connell. It's like the Zoolander reference of the Kevin O'Connell school of quarterbacks who can't throw well and want to do other things well too. I know he's good at getting the most out of their quarterbacks, but I don't think Carson Wentz is that guy. And like you said, Jake Browning has had some very good games as the Bengals starter before, and so I do think the Bengals will. For the next game, Jets and Buccaneers. Again, ask me week 1. Might have had a different answer, but I think the Buccaneers handedly.
Yeah, handedly, to say the least. They're giving it to the Texans, right? Not giving it, but like their offense looks good, and I think you'll have Chris Godwin back for sure. If he's not already back here, he'll be in like full practice snaps by then. This isn't easy, and the Jets were so abysmal last week. So, Buccaneers. Moving on, Washington versus the Raiders. At home in Washington. The Raiders, I don't think, do very well on the road. This will continue. I'm going Washington. They need to bounce back after that Green Bay game. And they're rested longer.
I mean, I agree. I think Washington. I think it could still be a close game, but I do think Washington this one. Next game is Packers versus Browns. Again, this isn't a crazy one. I think the Packers are going to destroy the Browns. And that's it. Yeah.
It's going to be a hot. I don't know if this is going to be a hot take. I think the Browns have officially re-entered conversation for being the worst team in the league right now. Unfortunately, this is what you get for treating Baker Mayfield like he's below nothing when he literally resurged your franchise just because he had like a couple of mid-years.
And then you sign a predator. It's
and then
karma coming around.
You sign a predator for $200 guaranteed $1 million. And then the quarterback you threw to the curb is now he took his team to the playoffs twice. I hate that happened, but the Buccaneers are only good because of Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that experience showing. These Browns, booty, Green Bay, dogging them. That's all I gotta say about that one. Moving on to this next game, New York versus Kansas City. If you had asked me last week, this was a Kansas City any day of the week. But that New York offense actually has some rhythm to it. So it makes it a bit harder. I am going to go Chiefs, though, just purely because the one thing Dallas did not have was pass rush. This Chiefs team definitely has pass rush. Putting pressure on Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart, Jameis Winston, whoever is out there, all three of them are the same. Put a little pressure on them, they fold like lawn chairs. I'm going Chiefs here. Not handedly, but probably by a score or two.
Yeah, I agree with that take. I think, New York does have a very good defense. It kind of just depends on what are they going to do. Russell Wilson, are we going to see the Russell Wilson from one who we were saying should get benched, or is it Russell Wilson of week 2 who threw for 450?
Yeah.
It kind of just really depends on which Russ we get. I do agree with you. I don't think the Chiefs are going to start 0-3, but I do think this will be a better game than I would have thought. Going to what the Monday night game will be, which is Lions versus. This is a very good matchup.
It's a good one.
I am nervous for this, but I gotta stick with my hometown team. I guess I'm not from Detroit, but I gotta stick with my team.
It counts. You're in the middle of nowhere. It's not like there's another team close by you.
I mean, I'm from Michigan. I get to pick between Packers or the Lions, and I'm not picking.
Oh yeah.
But I do think the Lions will win this one. I think it will be very close. But seeing what the Lions did last week, this last weekend, really, if it hadn't been 55 or 52-21, I would say the Ravens would win, but they can have the good communication, have the good play calling, play complementary football, and again, just clean up a couple things that they could have done better. I think that they can win against one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, if not in the last 20 or 30.
Oh yeah, this is a coin flip game in my opinion. as you guys have probably guessed by now. Coin flip games for me just have to go to the home team. I I can you can make a case for either one. I mean, the Ravens put up 41 last week against the Browns team, and the Lions put up 52 against a worse Cleveland, or a better, sorry, Chicago Bears team. So this is one would assume this is going to be an offensive shootout. I think this is probably going to end within one score, probably a touchdown. All right, bold pick here, 6 points, no PAT. You went for two, didn't get it, lost because of it. Not lost because of it, but it's going to be a 6 point victory, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I know.
And
what
it's
you mean.
not by
So
two
that
field goals. It's going to be by either a missed PAT or a
the
failed
other
2 point.
team, if the other team had had time, they could have marched down the field, gotten a touchdown, and won by 1 point.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. But in reality, you're going to fail. Close game. It's gonna go. It could go either way, but I'm gonna go Ravens here.
I'm not I'm really not upset about that take. I think
it's the Ravens.
I don't expect I want the Lions to win and I will pick them, but if they lose to the Ravens, I'm not mad about it. They're a very good team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean these two teams I have meeting in the Super Bowl. Actually, this is supposed to be Super Bowl matchup.
Yeah, this is
if you guys
Super
watched
Bowl
episode
preview.
0,
Yeah.
you would know same results happening here as I have in the Super Bowl. But there you go. This is gonna be a potential Super Bowl matchup. Moving on, this is just the NFC games now. Philadelphia Eagles at the Rams. Rams high-powered offense right now.
Divisional rematch.
Yeah, divisional rematch actually. Yeah, but they're coming into Philadelphia. Philadelphia looking pretty decent offensively. You all obviously have Saquon Barkley. The Los Angeles Rams are really just running high on offense because that's just Sean McVay. They run out of gas here. I'm going Philadelphia. Their defense is probably going to dog them. Maybe not Puka Nacua specifically, but I can easily see 2 Matthew Stafford interceptions with a below 50% completion rate. With under 250 yards. I can see that so easily.
I agree with everything you say, but I just feel like I feel like a Sean McVay masterclass here. Because they were the one team besides maybe the Packers, even though they were in control of both of those games, kind of gave Philly a run for its money in the playoffs. And it really like you were saying, it really just does depend on Matthew Stafford. Are we going to, I mean, Matthew Stafford is still so much better than Russell. Is Matthew Stafford going to, who's going to win the turnover? I guess that's the best way to put it. Can the Rams and their very good D-line, can they get pressure on Jalen Hurts? Can they force a turnover? And Matthew Stafford play? I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say
I mean, like you said, it's literally gonna take a Sean McVay masterclass here. To which that's you take those losses.
Yeah, and I won't die on this hill. I would not be surprised if Philly one-handedly, but I think LA. I think this is kind of like they have to make a run this year to win something. They could win the Super Bowl. I think they're a sleeper team every year at this point. We're forgetting they won a Super Bowl 4 years ago. So I'm going to pick them. On to the next game, Falcons versus Panthers. Until the Panthers can show that they're not dookie right now, I'm going to pick the Falcons, especially if they play the same game defensively. We see what Bryce Young can do under pressure. He kind of is a statue in the pocket sometimes. So we'll just see, how does Dave Canales, do they bounce back? Do they get an important division win? Right now, I'm going to say the Falcons win.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go Atlanta as well. This is at Carolina. We actually do pretty well at Carolina. I think the last 2 years we've split with them and we've won both away games, lost both home games. It's a weird trend. Once we get to it, I'm also going to go Atlanta at home. This is we usually like our cycle is we split with them for a couple of years, we sweep them. We split with them for a couple of years, we sweep them. That's just how it goes. I'm really feeling a sweep year. It doesn't look like the coaching is really figured out kind of what to do for Bryce Young. I'm not a big supporter of Bryce Young. He showed some flashes, sure, but yeah, he has to do that for 4 quarters. I know Atlanta's not the fourth quarter team. We played really well though this week, so I have confidence. If we play a fraction of what we did last night with the pressure, which I believe is like a 45% pressure rate between the 2 weeks. Insane. If we can keep up 45% pressure against Carolina, Bryce Young is not going to be able to do much.
He's gonna get destroyed.
Oh yeah. It also depends. Does AJ Terrell come back? We'll see. Our rookies are really good with picking it off. So hopefully we'll get a couple more there. Jesse Bates, same thing. I think our defense is going to carry us here, and their defense it's not bad, better than most, but they're still averaging about like 22 points a game. And if we can get that, I don't think they can put up 22 points. So I'm going Falcons. Moving on, we have Seattle versus New Orleans. In Seattle, you guys already know. Hate the Saints. Saints are trash. 0-3. Seattle up.
You don't think Spencer Rattler can get this one?
No, I don't. After what they did, they put up 31 to the Steelers, 17 last week, and we thought the Steelers were good because they threw 4 touchdowns against the Jets. These New Orleans Saints, who have been a bit better offensively than I'd like to admit, they're coming up against a real well-built defense on 2 fronts, secondary and the front 7, and an offense that you can't just rush the passer really fast. You have to do something about Jackson Smith and Jigba. You have to do something about Cooper Kupp. Saints just can't hold
I
it
forgot
together.
that Cooper Kupp is.
Everybody forgot Cooper
Seahawks
Kupp
now.
is there. I try to look at his fantasy stuff early in the year, and he's not doing well. But I think that's just because he's now a wide receiver 2 or 3 or something like that, and it's his first year in Seattle. I don't know what happened to him, but he's not doing well. Yeah, fall from grace, really.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I do think if we can see the same Seahawks team we saw last week, they can. The Saints haven't really played anyone particularly good, especially with a Mac Jones led 49ers. I just think, like I said, I don't think they're as bad as I thought they were, but that does not mean that they're a good team. For the next, we have an NFC West showdown. Last week, again, I would have said 49ers, but I just think with Arizona really needs to have a good start to a season. I know that they haven't really played anyone particularly good this year, but I'm going to try to maybe pick the upset here, and I'm going to say that the Cardinals win. I just think just with the injuries and with Brock Purdy out, I think it'll be a very close game. It could even be the classic, Kyle Shanahan blown lead type game. I think the Cardinals will come up with a victory.
I actually agree with you. I think the injuries to San Francisco, George Kittle, Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey's probably going to be on the injury report.
By the end of this game, he might be be injured again. We don't even know.
Yeah, I just when you're playing as a broken offense against a full one, I know that San Francisco has their defense, but like I said, this is a divisional matchup. These guys play twice a year. They start to know each other. This is Jonathan Gannon's second year. This is his third matchup with them. He's learned a thing or two, and
he's definitely an underrated coach, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. But you got to kick a dead horse while he's down, especially if you're if you're an underperforming team on average. So yeah, I'm also going Arizona here. Last game, Bears versus Dallas. The Bears probably are going to try to do something fun and fresh. I don't think it's gonna work. This Dallas offense just came off of a 40 bomb. I know, yeah, and they won. Brandon Aubrey. I thought the one thing that everybody knew is that Dallas offense was going to be good. Can the Dallas defense do something? This is a great kind of rest almost. The Bears are not a very explosive offense. I know they have pieces, but something inside of that organization just hates offense and loves defense.
Yeah.
I don't
And their
think
defense isn't even good.
Yeah, their defense is not playing well either. So I think whatever's there is just dead. The Bears I have fallen to, I think they're 0-3. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Dak is good. CD Lamb is good. Their secondary got torched by Jared Goff. I think they'll get torched by the Cowboys as well. That's it.
Yeah, that's basically all she wrote, man. All right.
Yeah, that's what we have for our predictions. And now, Michael, do you wanna? I haven't been checking the league we're in. How did you do in fantasy this week?
I think right now I'm winning, not by much. A lot of it's depending on I have Justin Herbert as my quarterback. I think he has somebody as well. I just can't remember the name. Notable performances, really. Jamar Chase, beautiful. He gave me like 30 points. Josh Jacobs gave me like 14, something like that. Drake London had a subpar game. I think he gave me like 8. Whatever. I'll deal with it. I think I had the San Francisco defense, who had points and then lost points. So they're not really doing a ton. Yeah, Kyle Pitts swapped out for TJ Hawkinson last second. Successful move. He gave me like 8 points. So realistically, I just need like a 20-point game max from Justin Herbert, probably minimum like 15. I'm probably pretty good. But yeah, my team's doing pretty well, to be honest. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So for me, I put up a real dud of a game this week.
Oh man.
So Brock Purdy's out. I mean, I have Matthew Stafford as a backup. He actually played pretty good. He got like 17 points. Bijan Robinson did 20. He's always very reliable.
Very
Chuba
reliable.
Hubbard, 19 points. So it seems like, oh, I should be winning. No. AJ Brown, 7.5 points. Zay Flowers, 15. Trey McBride did 14, but this is where the real kickers come in. Cameron Sutton, 2 points. Broncos defense, -5.
Oh.
And then I have Brandon McManus, who did 10, which that's fine for a kicker, but that's not enough to win games. The guy I'm playing has Baker Mayfield, and I'm already down by 12 now, and there's no way unless Baker throws like 5 picks, it's over for me.
Yeah, that -5 is hurting you, bro.
It's
I would maybe
terrible.
invest in a really good defense like the Atlanta Falcons. I'm sure they're probably on the waiver wire. Go pick them up.
I think I will. That's a good.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
You might have to. I mean, they put up like 20 points last week, so it might be worth it. But yeah, that's a beautiful week 2 for NFL fans and average podcast fans. To say the least, I had a lot of fun this week. Best episode yet.
I agree. Thank you guys for tuning in again. For those who are the real ones, we see you guys commenting.
Yes, thank you.
Throughout the whole season, and if you're still with us and this is your first time, or you've been hanging out and you haven't subscribed yet, please consider that. Leave a like, leave a comment. It helps us. We're trying to make this into a place where everyone's welcome and we can just learn together.
Oh yeah, and I'm gonna throw this in here just so we can test our friends who say they're watching us. If you see this, comment down below barnacles. If you see this, you just gotta put barnacles down.
I have a couple people in mind right now.
Yeah. I actually think I actually have somebody who does watch the episodes, just because he's like, why not? And we'll see him here. I'm very confident, but I don't know how many people. I don't know how many barnacles we're gonna get. But hey,
I don't know. The more barnacles on the boat, the better we're gonna float. So let's see what we can get.
I think that's literally the opposite of how barnacles work. I think they destroy the whole.
I'm just saying stuff.
Oh well. Oh well. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment, like we said. Hit the like button if you at least somewhat enjoyed it. Give us some recommendations or tips and tricks. If there's something to fix. Otherwise, you guys have a good rest of your day and week. See you next week.
Thank you. See you next week.